Okay, so let's wrap this up. Alright, so we've got our joystick here. We've assigned some colors, and if I go to the materials editor, I actually made a creamy color here to put on the plateau. I do believe these blacks are not black enough, the ones that we're using here, so let's take and change that to something even darker and say OK, and you can see how black that got. We'll find out how it renders. Alright, so throwing all of our colors on these from the palette here, just drag and drop them out, put them up what you need to. We'll close this, we'll go Alt-W. Now, let's bring in a light. I'll zoom in on the object from the top, create over here on the right, slide down here and pick skylight. Now, if you're on photometric, you need to go standard, and we're going to go to skylights. Come in here and just click your mouse. Default setting will be fine for this video. I moved here. Again, be careful if you click your middle or your left mouse button, you just keep making lights. So you can right mouse click in these windows, and you won't actually be performing an operation. Just start working in it. Now pick move while that is selected, so you can pull it up, slide the light over, pick rotate, and go ahead and rotate it. The light is going to spray out from underneath here down on the object. We'll also pick modify, and we'll go ahead and turn on cast shadows. It was already on because I was here previously, so I'll turn on cast shadows, leave all the default settings alone. Okay, now I'll come over to the lower right hand side, Alt-W, pick a decent view to kind of maybe zoom in on that thing, right? And we'll go ahead and pick render setup. This shows a single output. The assign, we're in the common tab, by the way. It defaults to there. Just stay there. The assign render is called default scan line. That's the one that shipped with this product years ago, and it is it's probably the least stressful renderer on the system. And we have computers that are 3 and 4 years old, so you kind of keep it unless you're willing to pick render and then go out for lunch, or even get up in the morning after it's been rendering. Inside here is Mental Ray, and you could turn on Mental Ray, and then you want to work with a whole different group of materials, and we'll discuss that some other time. So default scanline render, that's the engine that does the math, and then you can see that this is at 640 by 480. That's a middle range resolution. We could jack this thing up to HD, and you can see it's 1920 by 1080. 1080, that should be a kind of like a ring a little bell for those of you who deal with TV stuff. We can come down, let's go back to custom, and let's pick 640 by 480, and we're looking good here. It's fine. Again, we're just doing a single. So you can name it here. You could actually say file output, type in the name of the, I called it JStick, and pick the file type, which would be a JPEG. You could pick PNG in here or TIFF. PNGs are better as well as TIFFs, but JPEGs are more standard, so we'll just kind of keep it at a JPEG. You go to setup, and you can take a look at all of our values are cranked in here. Go over to the best, large, maximum, say OK. Save. So it's ready to save over top of that file that I had already there. Let's watch this render now. I'll say yes, go over top of it. This was something that I rendered previously. Now it will write over top of this. Now in this rendering, the blacks weren't quite the blacks that I wanted, and the stick itself the joystick component, the whole thing, we were too far away from it, so we're choosing a better angle. Now, this is a very moderate resolution. Video is at 30 frames a second. If we had a 10-second video, that would then be 300 frames, and 300 times this amount of time would be what a 10-second video would take. And you can imagine if we started adding 3 or 4 lights, some effects, and the computer is just sitting there working out all the math to calculate the light bounce. You get into super. You need as an expensive as a computer as you can possibly afford. You might even go to a render farm where you shoot you get a group of computers to work on a frame at a time, and then they share their data and send it back to the mother. Sometimes it's just best to go to sleep, hit render at night, come back, see what you've gotten. I have a friend who works in this industry, and there are times when he's left his computer on for 3 days just to get a still, and it just sat there and cranked out the math. Pretty decent rendering here. We're losing some definition here on the discs. If we take a look at the 3D Max, you can see that we aren't quite up to snuff. We've got some nice shadows here along the wire. Let's see what we're getting. Decent, same stuff. All the settings are the same. We just picked some different colors. So that's pretty much it. Thanks.